Okay, I think I'm live. Hi everyone, happy Sunday to everyone who's tuning in to watch me today or any other day. Let me know down in the comments when you actually tune in to watch this. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, how was your week? What lessons did you learn in the last week? How have you grown? I'd love to hear from you about that. Okay, so just making sure that everything is ready before we get started on this. Um, I don't know why this thing is taking so long to actually tune in, but oh well, I think we're good, at least. Anyways, let's get started. So, my name is Eva. I'm an intuitive healer. I do work with two modalities. One which is based on working with Akashic Records, it's called soul alignment, and the next one is based on rewiring your nervous systems, and it's called quantum flow. And I'm going to be explaining more on that and how these two modalities can actually help you to accelerate your growth, your evolution, your just really tapping into your highest potential. So if you're curious about this, maybe you're looking for the best modality to help you in your healing journey, the best modality to help you with your mental, emotional, physical, energetic well-being, and all of that. Make sure you tune in until the end of the video because I'm going to be explaining more on that. Okay. So I love starting my live by sharing the one lesson that I've actually learned in the last week that I am still learning how to embody, sorry. And if you're watching this, I'd love to know how you have grown either today, whichever time you're tuning to watch me today, in the last week, in the last month, in the last year, I don't care. I'd love to hear from you. Please share with me down in the comments, okay? And let's learn and grow from each other. So, first of all, what have I learned this week? I think this week it's me learning how to, what am I paying attention to? What am I, um, and I'm gonna just take a pause of it because there's a lot of noise in the background, and I apologize for that if you can hear that. Let me just sort it out for a minute. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I was sharing about what I've learned in this week. In the last week, basically, what I've learned is, again, here's the thing, this is what I'm discovering about life, that even when you think you've learned, because I think most of the time we let the ego take over and then we convince ourselves that I've already made it, like what else can I learn, right? But life is a continual learning process, and as long as you exist in this physical reality, I don't think that the process of learning will ever stop. If at all you actually humble yourself enough to stay a humble student of life, which is what I call myself, because every single opportunity is a moment for you to grow and evolve if you so choose it. Okay. So even if you've heard certain lessons 1,001 times, sometimes we need the reminder. Okay. Because sometimes we forget, right? For me this week, that lesson came in the form of, again, what you pay attention to is what you create. And where has my mind been lately? It's the distraction with everything that's, happening in the world, happening in the country, and all of that. Which again, I know the more you focus on those things, the more you manifest that into your reality. So I'd assume that as conscious people, people who are aware, and if you're watching me, I assume that you are, you know that again, you create your new reality based on your belief system, right? You're constantly manifesting your physical reality. So if your entire focus is on everything that's happening, that is bad in the world and all of that, guess what you're helping to manifest? More of that, because that's what we or you are paying most attention to. So this week was just a really important reminder to really come back into myself and really focus on what I want to see more in the world, right? Because I'm sure if you're watching me, what you want to see more in the world is more peace, more love, more compassion towards each other. But if your entire focus is on everything that's wrong with the world, guess what? We are collectively manifesting that wrong or horrible reality that we don't want to see more of. So I would advise you, if you're watching me, pay attention to the people, to the things that you want to see more of. And the ones you don't, because here is where the ego loves to play with your psyche, where it will let you focus on that just to really distract you from the things that you're supposed to be doing. Remember, your ego is really, really gifted in doing that, keeping you distracted so that you stay in your comfort zone. So if it's constantly giving you these things, right? And especially like how we are designed as human beings, we're designed to mostly focus on the negative. For some reason, I don't know what the basis of that is, but that's what I was taught. So anytime the negative things are happening, like your entire focus, because that's basically what we've been taught by society. Like we want to talk about something horrible that someone did, gossip and all of that. Like we've been trained to distract ourselves in those cases. But the more we're paying attention to such things, the more you're paying attention to those people. Guess what? We keep seeing more of them. So if you don't want to see them in your reality, then just stop paying attention. Okay. So this week for me, that was my major lesson. Okay. And again, I love to hear from you. What was your major lesson for this week? Let me know down in the comments. Okay. So back to today's topic. So today I'm talking about standing up to your illusions. Okay. And this is inspired by a beautiful, beautiful quote from Autobiography of a Yogi. And it is, I'll read the quote. It was by Paramahansa Yogananda. I hope I say that right. But basically, the quote is, it is the barren tree that lifts its head high in an empty boat. And this was such a deep, deep quote. And I'd love to hear your explanation on what that means for you. Let me read it out again for you. Okay. In case you didn't get it the first time round. It is the barren tree that lifts its head high in an empty boast. Okay. If you look at a tree, you know that when a tree is ripe with fruits, that the fruits are ripe and they're ready to be picked, and it's the fruits have become juicy and they have all those goodness in them. They tend to, because of the heaviness of the fruit, right? You'll find that the branches will start lowering themselves, right? Before, when the fruit was still forming, when it still had flowers, the tree is up in the sky because it wants to make sure it's getting all the sufficient sunlight and all the air and all of that, right? But once it's born, the fruits now, and the fruits have well formed, you find that the fruit starts bending. And this was basically the basis of this particular quote with Yogananda. And the meaning that I actually got from that was that, have you ever noticed that the people who tend to be the loudest, the most boastful ones, the biggest bullies in the bunch and all of that, the minute you take away the thing that they are trained to make you focus on to convince you how powerful and how you can't touch them, reality that they fashion for themselves. The minute you take that away from them, the minute you even have the courage to stand up against a bully or anyone who's being bad to you, whatever, the minute you have the courage to actually stand up against them, you realize that without that illusion that they've created, carefully crafted for themselves, they have nothing, and they know of this. So I find that people who are the loudest, right? People who want to be seen, oh, look at my car, look at my, all of that. Really, you take away all of that, you find that for most, not all, but say for most, you'll find that deep inside, they really have nothing to back them up. So for them, their entire identity is based on the external world. And that's why they do all these crazy things to make sure that you focus on the external and not on who they are on the inside. And usually that stems from, their wounded inner child that somehow, somewhere really hurt them. And they decided that, you know what, to protect myself from the world, I'm going to put on a facade. I mean, look at even the bullies, right? Chances are someone bullied them when they were children. And so they came up with this illusion of, I'm this tough person, I'm going to beat you up, and all of that, all in a sense to just protect that inner wounded child who was not kept safe. So they create this entire fake personality or fake persona so that you don't have the courage. You're too scared to even look behind that and see the scared child inside them, that fearful person who doesn't know, like, oh my God, if this person has the courage to just confront me, I'm done. They know this. So they always create this persona to get you to be scared. Okay. And a beautiful, beautiful scene that came up for me was, if you watch the latest I think it's Godzilla versus King Kong movie 2024, if I'm not wrong. I hope I got that right. I forgot the name of the movie, but anyway, the latest Godzilla and King Kong movie, there's a scene where there's a baby Kong. Okay, so King Kong has been sent, or I don't know if it was being banished or whatever, to this underworld or whatever. So he's exploring and all of that. And there are also other members of his species that he was not aware of. So he happens to see this weird shadow of a big Kong, like a big, gorilla coming up and all of that. And what that actually was that it was a baby Kong who was appearing, making all these noises and, roaring and all of that to try and scare off King Kong so that King Kong will not attack. Because again, it's a baby, and the baby knew that, if he attacks me, I'm done for, right? So let me scare you to get you to run away so that you don't actually come and confront me. Because if you confront me, I'm done for, right? That was the whole illusion that this baby Kong was creating. But King Kong actually stood his ground and waited, only for the baby Kong to actually finally emerge. And then Kong was like, "You mean this tiny little guy was the one who was causing me all of this, making all that noise?" And that was such a powerful scene because it reminds me again of these people who pretend to be this, oh, again, like I was saying earlier, it's this entire fake persona of, look at how this I am, look at all of this and what I've done and all of that. The guys were addicted to the titles, the guys were addicted to, making sure that the world sees just how, powerful and how all those things that they are. When you look behind that, you'll really notice that it is all a facade. They have nothing to back that up. Have you heard of stories where um people complain about getting married to people who billionaires, millionaires, only to find that their personality is lacking, someone who treats them like crap and all of that. And you marry the person, you most probably just marry them because of the money, the flashy lifestyle that they were showing you before. But then they come to discover later that what actually keeps the relationship going is not the flashiness, it's who you are as a person, right? And I'm not saying this to demonize anyone who has that kind of influence or wealth or anything, because again, this does not apply to anyone, it just applies to certain people. So I want you, if you're watching this, to really keep that in mind that for most of the people who tend to have that kind of personality, there's something, the ones who are really making a loud noise about it and really want you to, honor them and, be fearful of them and, just give them that kind of reverence, there's usually something that backs up that kind of behavior. Because someone who's really comfortable in themselves, someone who's comfortable in their skin, they don't care what you think of them. They could be a billionaire and they're just walking around in, the cheapest clothes and all. They don't care because they already know that they've already made it. So who cares about your opinion? The people who are really self-assured don't give a crap. The people who know that regardless of what you do to them, you can't touch them. The courageous ones, regardless of how much you try to attack them, they know they have the power within them to counteract whatever you're coming at them with, right? So anyone who's putting on that facade, there's always a reason behind it. And if you have the courage to actually look behind that facade, you discover that it was all an illusion. And this also applies to your fears, right, in life. So one of my favorite quotes is that, and I can't remember who said this, but I'll just give you a snippet of it. It was that your treasures you will normally find behind the cave that holds your fears. I don't know if that's the exact quote, but I think it went something like that. Um, but basically, the minute you have the courage to face down your fears, guess what? You'll only discover treasure within it. Remember that anytime you're about to embark on anything that, again, takes you out of your comfort zone, your ego, because it's trained to make you survive no matter what. So anything you do that your ego will perceive it as a threat to your survival, it will do everything in its power to keep you rooted in the sport that it's familiar with, the pet sport that it thinks it's most safe in. Okay. So what will your ego do? It will create all this number of scenarios, all these things and illusions of fears to keep you rooted in your comfort zone. Okay. So you'll always have the what if I do this and then maybe people start talking about me, maybe people start gossiping about me. What if I walk away from this relationship and I never find anyone else to love me? What if I walk away from this um I want to say job or whatever that's not really serving me in the highest. Am I gonna be able to pay my bills and all of that? You know, those kind of scenarios, like it will give you 1,001 reasons for you not to take that next step. And again, all of these things, they're usually way worse in our minds than they are in actual reality. So if you have the courage to just take a look behind that door, whatever illusion that is, just get past that illusion. Chances are, once you get to the other side, you'll realize, like, what was I scared of? And I can give you a ton of examples, one of which was even going live on YouTube, which is the one thing that since 2022, when I started my channel, I had decided I was never in a million years ever going to be able to do this. But once I came to this realization in March 2024. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take the first step and see what happens. And guess what? I actually ended up loving it. But I'll never have gotten to this point had I never had the courage to open that door and see what else. So in my mind, I was always so scared that what if I show up online, I show up live, and then I start fumbling with my words. I lose track of my thoughts and all of that. And sure, it's not like that hasn't happened. It's happened. But I still keep showing up. Anytime it happens, anytime I've failed, and if you've checked out my lives, you know, not all of them have been perfect. I'm very much aware of that. But I put it in my mind that I'm going to do better next time. Now that I know what I did wrong in the last life, now next time, this is what I'm going to do. And that, all those scenarios I had in my head, they came. I faced all of them. I've fumbled. I've lost track of words, even right now when I was starting this live. But I found my way back. And you keep on going no matter what. So here's the thing. Even when you have the courage to look behind that door that holds your biggest fears and all of that, I'm not saying that 1,000% you're not gonna encounter those fears of yours. What I'll tell you is that chances are, again, they're way worse in your mind than they actually are in reality. Another chance is that they might never even happen. You might never even come across those things that you fear. They're all in your mind, but you'll never know this unless you take that step. And the other thing is that even when you encounter them, guess what? It's just an opportunity for you to grow more resilient, for you to show up even better, for you to grow and evolve. And that to me is always a win-win situation. So have the courage to look down the illusions that we create in our minds, right? With the fears. Have that courage to stand up to the people who put on again this weird facade of, oh, I'm this and this and this. But trust me, behind that facade, there's something that isn't that scary. Okay. And I know that's not easy for a lot of people to do. So I always say, if you can go for the big things, start small. You know, you don't have to wake up today and decide, you know what? I'm done with my job. I'm quitting today. And you still have to use your wisdom when you're making some of these choices. So don't just go, you know, I'm going to face my fears. I'm going to go jump off a cliff and skydive and all of that when you've actually not done the preparation for that. Okay. So this in no way is, am I trying to give you a leeway or inspire you to go and do something that might actually endanger you in the long run. Be wise about it. That's why sometimes I'll say your mind is there, but what I want to say is that that's why you have intuition. Listen to your higher guidance, not your ego mind. Okay. So I'm not talking about the mind. I'm not talking about your ego mind because your ego mind is not designed to figure anything out. You're designed to receive inspiration from your higher self if you so choose to listen. Because most of um, most of the people in the world, they rarely listen to that intuition. For them, it's all about the mind. And chances are, yes, you can make choices based on what your mind tells you to do. But that for me always leads to so much unnecessary pain and suffering that you really didn't have to go through if you just listen to your higher self, to your soul, to your higher guidance, to guide you on the right path that you need to follow, the right steps that you need to take. So right now you might be saying like, oh, now I'm gonna face my fears. I'm gonna, go skydiving and all of that, right? Because that's your ego mind is like, okay, I'm gonna psych you up. You're gonna be the best skydiver in the world. But then your higher self will be like, hey, by your name, you still need to prepare for this, right? You might need to take a couple of lessons, maybe know how to open up a parachute and maybe have guidance, have a teacher actually guiding you on this because you've never done this before. So I'm not saying just go and jump without thinking it through. But when you're thinking it through, don't use your ego mind. Really tap into your higher guidance to do more of that. Okay. To do more of the thinking part of figuring out what the next part of the process is. Because the more you tap into your higher guidance, the easier whatever step you need to take going forward will be. I'm not saying that you will not encounter challenges. Challenges is part of our existence in this physical reality. That's what we all signed up for. Challenges is how we grow and evolve. Challenge is not suffering, okay? So, because suffering is a choice. So if you choose to look at challenges as an opportunity for you to grow and evolve, then you're going to go so much far. You're not always going to be looking at the things that are happening to you as a punishment, but as a gift, essentially, from the universe to get you to grow and tap into your power, right? Which is what we're all here to rediscover again, because we've all forgotten once we incarnate into this physical reality. Okay. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know um what are your thoughts on everything I've talked about today. Let me know what your favorite part was, the lessons that you've learned, and how you're gonna implement this going forward. What new actions are you going to intention to take? The one thing that's really been scared of, I love to hear from you, and how are you gonna overcome that? Okay, because again, if you're watching me, nothing ever happens by coincidence. If you're watching me, there's a reason why. And if you're willing to explore what that reason is and really question your higher self for and to help you find what new action step you can take towards that thing that you'd be so scared of, then do that. Go sit down and meditate, go journal, go ask your higher guidance for help. And trust me, you will get the answer of the next step you need to take and how you're actually going to help yourself to overcome whatever it is that you're so scared of. Okay, so again, let me know your thoughts down below. I love to hear from you. And again, if you like my channel, you like the kind of content I do share out here, make sure that you subscribe and also click on the notification bell that's next to the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any content I share out here, as well as you joining me the next time we go live. I always go live around this time unless that changes in the future, which is not in my immediate future. Okay, so if you want to join me, please join me on my next live. I love to interact with you live. Okay, so I promised I was going to share the two modalities that I've used in my life to actually grow, accelerate, evolve so much to the point that I'm actually here doing a live, something that I had sworn out of 2 years ago. Okay, so this doesn't happen by chance. Okay, so I had to work on so much releasing, so much healing, so much growing and evolving to become the person that I'm here, that I'm is here talking to you, and that has taken a lot of work, a lot of commitment to keep on showing up and being my best no matter what, taking new actions, which is what these modalities have actually helped me do. So one of the modalities that has really made a big difference in my life is soul alignment. Okay. So if you've really struggled with yourself, not knowing who you are, not knowing what you're here to do, what your gifts are, letting the world define who you are, how you're supposed to show up in the world, if you feel that lost sense of self and you want to rediscover who you are, reconnect with who you really are, soul realignment will be perfect for you. If you feel like you've been going through life like it's repeating cycles over and over again and keep on encountering the same kind of pain, the same kind of struggle, same kind of trauma, same kind of people, same kind of circumstances over and over again, kind of like a broken record, soul realignment will be perfect for you. What soul element does is that, first of all, you are not your body. You are a spirit having a physical experience. But who are you at soul level? Most people get so attached to the physical side of, my name is this, I'm from this country, I'm this race, I'm this gender, and all of that. But that's not who you really are. With soul element, you actually get to discover who you are at soul level, what you were originally created to be and become, what gifts you were given that you were supposed to leverage to create a better human experience for yourself. So it's soul element. It's essentially helping you identify your soul level gifts and how you're supposed to leverage this, and also basically how you're supposed to incorporate this in how you interact with the world and the people around you. Most people, because they have no sense of who they are, they've let the world define who they are. Guess what? They tend to create a lot of dysfunction. And dysfunction in our lives normally comes in the form of health, in the form of finances, in the form of relationships. So relevant, it's really coming back to your authentic self, your true self, who you're supposed to be. I'm not saying that going forward you're not going to experience challenges, because like I said, challenges are part of life, but Now, with the ability to leverage your gifts, then how you show up in the world, how you interact in the world, then maybe the kind of pain that you've been attracting, the kind of circumstances and the people you've been attracting over and over again, you no longer need to do that again because you'll be showing up better for yourself. So if you're curious about who you are and you want to know more of what gifts that you were given, okay, as a soul to create a better human experience for yourself, and also Shona discover. So you've lived so many lifetimes. Your soul has lived so many lifetimes. In each of those lifetimes, if you're here and you're watching me, chances are you made so many negative choices. By negative choices, I mean choices that went against who you are. Okay. And again, if you do more of that, it just creates negative karma. That's why you keep on attracting the same people, the same circumstances, because your soul is in a bid to actually resolve these negative karmic experiences that it's picked up with the various partners and the various people you've attracted into your life. So with soul element, it's really getting you in touch with the one lifetime that you started making those negative choices. Chances are you're still repeating the same choices right now. But most people, because they have no awareness of what those repeating patterns are, what those choices are, they keep on repeating the same mistakes again and again and again. So just connecting you to that particular soul story and then helping you identify the negative choices that you're still making right now. So that going forward, now with the awareness of who you are and with the awareness of what mistakes you've been making, now you're actually empowered to be making better choices for yourself so that you can reduce the number of or the amount of dysfunction that you keep on attracting into your experience. So if this feels like it's for you, or maybe you have more questions for me about this, you can connect with me on Facebook or Instagram. The links are down below. Or you can go ahead and book a free discovery call with me and just ask any questions, and then we can both determine whether this is a good fit for you for whatever you're going through. Because the best thing about solar alignment is that you get to heal all this negative karmic experience energetically. Okay, so you get to clear your blueprint, your soul blueprint, and then now going forward, you're no longer an energetic match to those experiences. I'm not saying that you will not encounter challenges because, again, you're here to grow and evolve. So, time and time again, you might get tested, but if you have awareness of who you are and how you're supposed to be showing up in the world, chances are you will not be making the same mistakes that your soul has made so many times. Okay. So, again, connect with me, Facebook or Instagram, or go ahead and book a discovery call with me if you're curious about this. Or if you're just watching this and you're like, hell yeah, this is for me, book a session with me down below, and I'll be so happy to see you on the other side, okay? So the second modality I do work with is called quantum flow. So quantum flow is all about rewiring your nervous system, okay? So what most people don't know is that all kind of emotional trauma, emotional wounds that you've encountered all the way from even your mother's womb, you've actually recorded it within your nervous system. And what happens is that those patterns, they create certain patterns that anytime you encounter something that triggers you or triggers a memory of that, you keep reacting the same way you've been reacting all the way from when you formed that particular trauma. So, have you ever found yourself having an overblown reaction to a very tiny thing? Chances are whatever that happened in that situation that caused that kind of reaction from you, because it touched on that emotional wound. And remember that you've been constantly reacting in the same way over some time. So it just accumulates together and then it gets you to just react in a really overblown way to a very small trigger. There's always a reason behind that. So you can do your healing processes by just working on your mind and releasing with the meditation and all this other practices. But if you're not incorporating your body to your healing process, you find that your healing journey is going to take so much longer because, yes, you can release the memory of whatever hurt you in the past in your mind, but if the memory of it is still stuck in your body, you still have to work on that. So it's not just a mind thing, you also have to incorporate the body. And the beauty with quantum flow is that it incorporates all these different areas of your being, from your physical, from your mental, from your emotional, from your spiritual, from your energetic state. You're working on all these levels or layers of your being to really accelerate your healing. Okay. So not just focusing on your mind, so accelerating your healing, accelerating your growth, really opening you up to more and more of who you are, and also opening you up to receive higher guidance clearly. If you struggle with your intuition, this modality will be perfect for you because it helps you clear that path that has been blocking you and keeping you stuck on who you used to be and not who you want no longer want to be. So if you want to really clear that path to be hearing your intuition, your higher guidance, so that you can know what next step to take for yourself, like you stop fumbling around making all these mistakes, quantum flow will be a perfect fit for you. If you struggle with your mental, emotional well-being, like you're constantly finding yourself dealing with negative thoughts, dealing with negative emotions, just keeping you stuck in low vibrations, and you're just tired of that, quantum flow will be a perfect fit for you. If you struggle with stress, if you struggle with anxiety, there are so many benefits of doing quantum flow. But what I always say is that quantum flow is not a one-time thing and then you solved everything that you've stored within your body just from one session. It's something that you have to commit to doing daily, if possible, not daily, but as regularly as possible. Because if you're not constantly clearing your nervous system from all this trauma, remember, it's not that you're still not encountering the challenges of life. Okay, so it's not like when you start this or when you do the session, then all these things stop happening. You're still going to be encountering them. And the more you encounter them, the more they keep on getting stuck within your body. So quantum flow is something you need to do constantly. I've done it for 20 years since 2020, and I'm still uncovering new aspects of myself that I didn't even know existed. Okay, so it's a continual process. And what I do with quantum flow is that I do offer the one session if that's what you feel comfortable with, but I recommend that you book more than one session so that you can get different practices for you to be tapping into regularly. Because if you're doing the same thing again and again, at some point your body's gonna get used to those practices, right? So in quantum flow, it's really finding different ways to incorporate the steps and the movements that you get to actually get to the quantum flow session so that you can actually make it more of a daily routine for yourself. And the more you commit yourself to do that, I kid you not, in the next couple of months, you will barely recognize yourself. That's what happened for me. That's what has happened to so many people that I'm in touch with who've actually been tapping into this methodology. So if this feels like a fit for you, maybe you have more questions, again, book a discovery call with me and see if this will be a good fit for you or not. Connect with me on Facebook or Instagram. You can DM me and ask me any question. Or again, if you're just feeling called to just say yes to this and just book a session with me, go right ahead and check the link down below and book a session with me. And for me, I'm hoping that I will get to see you on the other side. Thank you so much and wishing you a lovely week ahead. Again, make sure that you subscribe and also click on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any content or any time I go live. I hope I'll get to see you on the other side one of these days. Okay, so wishing an amazing week of growth, of evolvement, of just being the best version of yourself that you can be. And I look forward to hearing from you what those lessons are. Let's grow a community where we're constantly learning from each other, okay? Because again, you never stop learning, you never stop growing, never stop evolving. Okay. So thank you so much, and I will see